Most companies, including our own, want to be these three things. They want to be profitable, they want to be competitive, and they want to be confident. And all of these three things factor into the equation of becoming a very sustainable company and conducting sustainable businesses. Because your companies want to be cost saving, they want to sell more, they want to, as far as what makes them profitable. In terms of competitiveness, they want to position their brand appropriately. So when you think about how sustainable you are, it impacts the brand and the positioning and how much you sell. They want to be confident. They want to mitigate risk in the marketplace, whether it be things like end of life as it relates to the products, but also confident that the steps they're taking around sustainability are actually going to achieve the results in terms of what they've put out there and publicly stated as far as goals and objectives. So Xavier mentioned the EcoStruxure framework. If you haven't heard about this already, you will be hearing a lot about it over the next few days as you attend different sessions. But the overall EcoStruxure setup and platform with connected products, edge control, and apps, analytics, and services is the overall framework for our company. And where my business sits, energy and sustainability services, is in that upper layer of the apps, analytics, and services piece. So what I'm going to touch on is a handful of these services that we provide to our own company as well as other companies. I'll give you some specific examples. But starting with overall sustainability strategy. Most companies really don't have a clue where to start. So you see these objectives that a CEO will lay out and say, we want to be carbon reduction of 20% over the next X number of years, or we want to reduce our energy consumption by this amount, or we want to become 100% renewable by such and such a date. Oftentimes they do it without understanding why. So our job is to come in and help consult and provide services to help them figure that out. And I'll give you a few examples of that. Whoops. The second thing on that list, everybody struggles with managing the complex data requirements. So when you think about what you have to report on in terms of sustainability, the amount of data, the data sources, all the different pieces coming from different places can be very complex. So I'll share some of the solutions that we provide around EcoStruxure Resource Advisor that sits at that apps level that gives you a great framework and give you some examples as to how that can be used. Third, the regulatory compliance. There are things that either are imposed on you in different jurisdictions or countries around the world, or maybe self-imposed, depending on the targets that you've signed up for or the reporting agency that you've signed up for, but it still becomes regulatory compliance. Fourth, I'll touch on facilitating new energy opportunities, the NEO network, new energy opportunities, and what companies are doing to take advantage of that. Give you an example of that. Renewable energy sourcing right now. I know it might sound simple, but it's not. It's very complicated oftentimes, the transactions, depending on where that renewable asset happens to sit or exist. Is it a direct purchase on your property? Is it a purchase power agreement that sits remotely and you have to negotiate the transmission and distribution arrangement to get it to your facility? Or just managing the volatility of the risk involved in that transaction? There's a lot that goes into that. Second to the bottom there, energy efficiency services. I mentioned what we do for our own facilities, but we do this for a number of other companies as well, and I'll give you a few examples of that. And then finally, water conservation and waste diversion, important to every sustainability strategy. So let me just touch on a few companies and clients that we serve. Most of you, hopefully, are familiar with this name, Swire. That's a picture of Mark Watson there on the left. He's the Chief Sustainability Officer for Swire. When you think about this company, it's a very globally diverse company, okay? The brands include things like Cathay Pacific Airlines. They're the largest Coca-Cola bottler in the world, a global real estate investment trust, or REIT, that owns properties everywhere. In fact, some of you may have your own offices in some of their facilities. So a very diverse portfolio. Now imagine if you are Mark Watson, the Chief Sustainability Officer for Swire, trying to figure out, one, what is my overall sustainability strategy for all of these different brands as a corporation? Because we want to do the right thing by the environment. We want to run a competitive and profitable business. How do we do this? So in his particular case, he didn't even have all the data streams and streams of information required to establish the right baseline measurement and threshold on which he should judge or base his future targets on. So literally, he used the sustainability strategy consulting of our team to come up with what's the right context for each one of those brands to set that strategy. How does he actually collect all that data information? We created all those feeds. So in EcoStruxure Resource Advisor today, He is tracking more than 100 different environmental dimensions within that platform so that he can use it for his internal and external reporting alike. So he used that strategy to set the tone or the framework for how he was going to manage the complex. Now he has all the data feeding, and from that data, he can use that data to purpose it for sourcing of energy. He can use that for reporting requirements. He can use that for driving waste and cost out of the equation. He can use that for multiple purposes within the organization.